Katherine, and this is Katherine Stitching Chronicles, my channel where I talk about my love of all things cross stitch. So today's video is a flosstube extra all about my top picks from the Needlework Marketplace. So the Needlework Marketplace is a virtual trade show for cross stitch designers. It's basically just for wholesalers to shop virtually and stock their shops with all the new releases that are coming out. So there's a ton of new stuff that's circulating kind of the cross stitch community right now. And of course, you know me, I love to shop. I love picking out new patterns and learning about new designers. And I thought it would be fun to just go through all of my favorites out of everything that's been coming out recently. So as I'm sure you can imagine, I do have a pretty lengthy list. I tried to narrow it down as much as I could, but I do have lots of gorgeous designs to share with you that have caught my eye. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so I've got my list up here in front of me on my computer just so I can keep track of all the names and stuff. So if you catch me looking down a lot, that's what I'm doing. I do just want to say too, like, definitely let me know in the comments if you agree with my top picks, if these ones have caught your eye as well. And feel free to also share what your favorites are, because as I said, I'm always open to new patterns, new designers, and I would love to know what's been catching your attention lately. So getting into my list, these are in no particular order of like my first favorite, second favorite, or anything. This is just the order I've written them down in. But we're coming in strong with number one, which is Murder in the Pumpkin Patch from Lola Crow Cross Stitch. So as I'm sure a lot of you know, I do love Lola Crow. I have done her stitch alongs last year, and this year I'm doing her current style. Her designs are amazing. There's so much detail in them. She uses so many different colors and it's just so creative with the way that she designs things. So this one is just really fun. It's spooky without being like too scary looking, you know. I like skeletons and skulls and stuff. I like pumpkins. You're gonna see a lot of that in this video. So this one I just thought was really unique and true to the style of Lola Crow, which I love. Next on my list, I have two patterns from Jed X Stitch. So the first one is Linoleum Rug. She showed this off at the Midsummer Stitch virtual event that was hosted by Lindy Stitches. And I thought this was just like really fun, really different. I love kind of the black and white with the pops of color in it. I also really like how that really big motif in the corner, it's actually not crosses. I want to say it's Smyrna crosses, but I'm not 100% certain without looking closer at it. But that just makes it a little more dimensional, a little more interesting. So I thought that this was a really cool design. And my other pattern from her, of course, Blueberry J. I know this one has taken the cross stitch world by storm. It is amazing. It's unbelievable. And I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I've been trying desperately for the last couple weeks to get Cherry Magpie finished, which was, I guess you could call it like a companion piece. Personally, I'm hoping that this becomes like a full series with a bunch of different birds, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I started Cherry Magpie a few months ago and then hadn't really touched it. And then we all found out that Blueberry J was coming out and I'm like, I need to get Cherry Magpie finished. So this one, I'm gonna start pretty much as soon as I can. For all of these that I'm showing you, I don't plan to be buying the physical patterns. I will be purchasing PDFs. And in a lot of cases, the PDFs are being released a little bit later than the physical patterns. So I believe for this one, the PDFs are expected to come out in October. So I will be starting it in October. And I've actually already even picked out my fabric for it, which is insane because I'm not even starting it for 2 more months, but whatever. So this is linen from Roxy Floss, and it's called It's Green. So I got this in my fabric subscription in May 2025. I am in the Modern Fabric Club. So it's a little bit lighter than the called for fabric, which is, I believe, Malachite from Fiber on a Whim, but it's kind of a similar vibe and I think it should definitely still work. So this is what I'm planning to use for that. Clearly, I'm very excited about it. Next up, we have the Artsy Housewife, another one of my favorite designers. So the first one, I have two. The first one is Cats and Cocoa. So this is a companion to Coffee and Eggs, which I also really like. I really like it, but not so much that I've bought the pattern and like plan to stitch it. Like there are other charts from the Artsy Housewife that I have that I would like to stitch first, but I love Coffee and Eggs. But I really, really, really love Cats and Cocoa. So my plan for this one is to make a couple of changes. So for the mugs of like Cocoa, there's some little white stitches that look, I guess, like marshmallows. I'm just gonna stitch the whole thing's brown so that it looks more like coffee. And then I wanna make changes to the cat to make it a black and white cat, a tuxedo cat, a little spot on its nose so that it looks like my cat Nellie. And the reason for this is that Nellie, for some very strange reason, is obsessed with coffee. I don't know why. Cats aren't supposed to drink coffee. It's not good for them, but I cannot leave a coffee mug unattended. She will be up on the table and have her face licking my mug if I turn my back for more than 2 seconds. Like, I'm not even kidding. So this is like the perfect little homage to her. So that is my plan for this one. This is another one that's like, I would say like a higher priority one out of all of these favorites. I already have big plans for it. So that's Cats and Cocoa, which is really going to be Nellie and Coffee. And my other pick from the Artsy Housewife is Cozy. So I love this. I love the fabric that the model is stitched on. I love the skull, and I absolutely love this border. The negative space with the hearts is just, it's so good. I love this one. I also like that it's a little bit smaller. We all know I like my big projects, but it's kind of nice to have some smaller ones too. So I like the size of this one, and yeah, that border is really what got me. Next up, I have All Hallows Eve from Yasmin's Made with Love. So again, I love skulls. I do also like kind of like Quaker motifs, but in this particular case, I really like how it's kind of a mix of the Quaker with pumpkins and skulls thrown in there. It makes it a little bit more modern, a little bit more interesting, and a little bit more fun. So I really love this one. I think if I were to stitch this one, I might cut the bottom part that says All Hallows Eve, which is kind of silly, I guess, considering that's the name of the pattern. But like for me personally, I prefer it without the lettering. And I mean, those motifs are just so fabulous. So that's a change that I would make on this one, but I just think it's so cool. She does wonderful Quaker designs, and this is no exception. So this one made the top list. From Sprouting Lupine, one of my favorites that she's coming out with this time around is Winter Sweater Drums. So I'm a big Christmas gal. I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. I have done a lot of Christmas stitching. I will continue to do a lot of Christmas stitching. Again, this is something else that you're going to see a lot of in this video. And yeah, these little drums are just so adorable. I've never done a drum finish, but I would like to do one, or like several. I have a lot of drum projects in mind that I would like to do, and this is just kind of adding to that list. But I love the patterns on these. I love like Christmas sweaters with those big kind of chunky geometric patterns. Obsessed with them. So this one really spoke to me, and I hope to one day stitch it. Next up is Gift of October from Heartstrings Samplery. So this is a Biscornu. I do love a good Biscornu. I just finished one recently, and I definitely want to do more. So I love this one. It's very fall, like quintessential fall, with all the leaves and little kind of fall motifs on it. I also really like, there's kind of like stripes on it, which to me at least, it kind of looks like birch bark. Like, I'm assuming that that's the vibe that they were going for with this one. It's just a really cute little detail. So yeah, I love this. It's just a cute little fall project. Again, it's small. I'm trying to do some more small things rather than doing everything big. So I love this one. Next on my list is Closely Kept number 4 from Shaded Stitchery. So this is a monochromatic design, and in the like cover photo, there's 2 different finished options. So one is kind of like what the fabric cut out and attached to, I don't even know what that is, like a glass plate or something. And the other one is framed. So I love how they're showing 2 different ways of finishing this, and the finish on the glass just looks so cool to me. I kind of have mixed feelings about like monochromatic pieces because I love them. I would love to stitch some, but on the other hand, I feel like I would get bored with just stitching with one color all the time, even if it's something like variegated. I don't know. But I do have quite a few like fancy flosses, hand-dyed silks that are more colorful. So I feel like this is another, again, petite project that would be a good way for me to use some of my more fun flosses and take on a monochromatic piece that isn't going to be too overwhelming and where I'm not going to have the opportunity to get bored with it because it never ends. You feel me? Next is a pattern from Counting Puddles, and that is Perfect Pirate. I don't even think I need to say much about this one. I mean, like, it's adorable. That's it, that's all. It's just, it's so cute. And I love the style of Counting Puddles, like her use of backstitch and like specialty stitches on top of the cross stitches just makes her design so dimensional and like visually interesting. And yeah, he's just the cutest little guy ever. So I love this one. Next up, I have Chicken and Waffles from Stitches by Ethel. So this is a new designer for me, which is exciting. And this is another one. It's just, it's so cute. Like, how can anyone resist this? The donkey and the birds, and the style to me reads like a little bit primitive, but the design is more modern and fun. And to me, that's a really good mix. So it's just so adorable. And I'm just reading the description of this design because I was kind of interested in the name of it, like Chicken and Waffles. Why is it called Chicken and Waffles when it's a donkey? But so I'm just reading the description. So Waffles, oh, I see. Waffles is the name of the donkey. A friend of the designer has a donkey named Waffles. And then they were talking about chickens and then came up with the name Chicken and Waffles. That is adorable. Oh my goodness. Anyway, this one is another, I would consider this a must stitch. It's perfect. It's so me. So Chicken and Waffles. Next up, I have one pattern from Tiny Modernist, and that is Halloween Pretties, which is a collection of Halloween smalls. So Tiny Modernist came out with so many new designs. Like, she's an absolute machine with all the stuff that she comes out with. It's unbelievable. So I really, really liked a lot of the stuff that she came out with, but I only included one on my top picks list because I tried to think like I loved a lot of them, but realistically, like which one or which ones am I most likely to actually stitch? And I thought that this one I could actually stitch. To me, it's like the perfect mix of kind of like spooky, creepy Halloween and cutesy Halloween. You know, there's like skulls, there's a ghost, there's eyeballs, but there's also like pink pumpkins and a polka dotted pumpkin, I think, and like a bow. Like, it's so cute. So this one really speaks to me as far as like Halloween goes. And once again, they're little small like mini projects that are a little bit easier and quicker to turn around. And I do love Tiny Modernist, so I had to include at least one on my list. Next up is a design from Stay Platinum Stitchery, and it's called Rest in Peace Whips. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this sentiment where we have piles of whips sitting that may not have seen the light of day in a while. So it's definitely relatable. And the color of the headstone is like, I mean, it's bright pink. Like, what's not to like about that? So I really like this one. I think it's hilarious. So I had to include it on this list. Next up, I have Moonlit Grove from the Stitching Kitten. So the Stitching Kitten is another new designer for me. They have a lot of really fun patterns that are coming out at Needlework Marketplace this year. But this one was definitely my favorite. It totally caught my attention the first time I saw it. I love the colors. I love the leaves and the bunny and the moon and that leafy border. I love all of it. It's so pretty. So this is another one that I absolutely had to include on my list. I love it. Next up is another new designer, which is Lucy Beam, and the chart is House in the Pines. So this one also reads primitive to me. I would say that as far as my stitching style goes and like what draws my attention, the more kind of like primitive, traditional looking stuff is not really for me. That's not really what I enjoy to stitch or what I want to like have in my home. But primitive-ish things for Christmas, I would say, is like the exception. So that's how this one reads to me, but I am kind of biased. Like, I do tend to really love most Christmas stuff. So yeah, I thought this one was nice. I don't stitch a lot of houses actually, so this is the only house or one of the only houses on my collection of top picks. But yeah, it spoke to me and I wanted to include it. Next up is Highland Cow Feed Sack from Carriage House Samplings. So I adore this one. I really love Highland cows. I went to Scotland with my family. Oh my gosh, it was quite a while ago now. It was 10 or 15 years ago. It was more than 10 years ago. I'm not sure if it's been 15 years yet, but in my childhood, I went to Scotland with my family, and that is where I was introduced to Highland cows, and I've kind of had a thing for them ever since. I actually have a Highland cow fridge magnet that I stitched. It was a cross-stitch kit that I bought when we were there, and it's come with me to all of my apartments and everywhere that I've lived since I moved out of my parents' house, and it is on my fridge downstairs right now. So when I saw this, I thought it was hilarious. I love it. When I actually stitch this, I would likely make a couple more changes, because I would probably want to do this as like a framed piece, and I might cut some of the pattern away to make it a little bit smaller. I don't know. I haven't given it too much thought just yet, but I can kind of see this as like a framed piece to have in my kitchen somewhere. So that's my first like tentative thought about this one, but I love Highland cows. So of course this one made the list. Next, I have a couple of charts from Hello from Liz Matthews. So the first one is Ghosting to Town. So this one also has like two different finishes on the cover image, which is kind of fun. For myself, I can see this one being finished into like a little pillow or something, but I just love the look of it, and it kind of looks like lace along the edges to me. And it's like spooky with the ghosts. Oh my gosh, I almost said goats. Spooky with the ghosts, but it's still like cute with their little like balloon pumpkin things that spell out boo, but it's like in a cute way. So I really like this one. And the other one is Festive Mini Trees. So if I'm not mistaken, this was an exclusive at the Jingle Ball last year. that I didn't get, but now it's being released like to everybody. So I'm definitely not missing out on it this time around. I love the little mini finishes. They're so cute. I want one or all of these on my Christmas tree. They're just so adorable and kind of like a unique finish, which is also something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of. So yeah, these ones were a no-brainer for my top picks this year. Next up is a design from Kathy Barrick, and that is Goodnight Moon. So just to look at this as a design, I like it. It's pretty, it's nice, it's great. But when you look a little bit closer, you'll see that there are some like specialty stitches on the stars. And that's what really sold me on this one. It's not just cross stitches, there's some specialty stitches in there, which, as I've said before, like just makes things a little bit more dimensional, more interesting to look at, more interesting to stitch too, when there's a little bit more going on there. So I really, really like this one. And the contrast of like the yellowy gold against the dark blue fabric is just so big fan of this one. Next on my list is Serenity from Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. So again, if I'm not mistaken, this was an exclusive at Stitch North earlier this year. So I really, really loved it, but I bought so much stuff that weekend. So I did not purchase this pattern at the time, but again, now it's being released to everybody. So I'm definitely gonna pick this up at some time. This kind of like, I don't know, the overall vibe of this one and like the lettering, like quote, is not usually my thing, but I really like the words on this one, and the overall vibe. Like I just really like this one, even though it's not what I would typically stitch. But yeah, I did not buy it before, and it's kind of been on my mind ever since. So that to me is like, okay, you do actually really want this one. It's not just going to be an impulse purchase. So next up is the Seasons Keepers from Barbara Anna. So I think the winter one, I think I saw the fall one first, but the winter one is really what caught my attention. So I've never stitched anything from Barbara Anna before. I've seen a lot of her designs. I've liked a lot of them, but I've never just taken the plunge on any. But this one really drew me in. And I was chatting a little bit with Marjorie from Marjorie Made, and we're both like fully obsessed with this. And she may have convinced me that I need to stitch it. So we'll see. It is beautiful though. And she's another one, just like her use of color and the little details, and like it just so nice. So this one had to make the list. Next up is another new designer to me, which is Lauren Flossabilities. So I have two from her. The first one is a Grand Gathering. This one is just like super different. I've never seen anything like this before. I love all the colors, and the design itself is beautiful. So yeah, it really caught my attention because it was so different. And the second one that I pulled from her is Chalet in the Snow. So this kind of like long horizontal house with the landscape, and the colors in this one are also just beautiful. And funnily enough, actually the shape of it is kind of different. Like I feel like you don't often see a lot of pieces with like that kind of dimension where they're so long. So this one also really drew me in as soon as I saw it. It's beautiful as a framed finish. I feel like it would also make a really pretty drum. It might be too big to make a drum, but I think you could make it work. If you did it on like a smaller count, maybe, so it wasn't quite so giant, I feel like that could work. Next up, I have Spanish Moon Moth from Petal Pusher. So I love moths and stitching. I feel like moths are like really big right now, and a lot of people are designing stuff with moths, but every designer has their own spin on it, right? And each one is different and unique, and this one is no different. I think it's beautiful. I think the colors are gorgeous. I love that kind of simple border, and yeah, I really like it. These colors on that dark fabric too are so gorgeous. So I really love this one. And I was watching as she's been sharing a couple like preview images as she's been stitching the model. And I've been eagerly waiting for the photo of the full design to come out, and I was not disappointed. Next up is Quilted Tiny Town from Heart and Hand. So there are a ton of Tiny Town patterns out there. I have yet to actually stitch one. I've wanted to for a very long time, but I have not yet. And this one I really like. I really like a lot of the Tiny Towns, but I really like this one. It's cute. So this might be the one to finally break me and get me to stitch a Tiny Town. Because it's so sweet. So finally, I have Tommy's Pumpkin Patch from Blueberry Ridge. So this is a companion piece to Hazel's Blackberry Burrow, which came out earlier this year. They're both so adorable. I really love Hazel's Blackberry Burrow. I would really love to stitch it. I just haven't gotten around to it. And Tommy's Pumpkin Patch is so cute. The colors in this are just so beautiful, so fall, and is so cute. It's just so cute. So Tommy is a little squirrel, and that pumpkin is his house, I guess. And I love how it's got kind of that little, like almost quilted looking motif on the pumpkin. And I really love all the purple like flowers like up in that corner. So pretty. And they would look so cute side by side if I were to stitch both of them. Okay, so that wraps up my top picks from the 2025 Needlework Marketplace. I think I managed to narrow it down to 26, which is a lot for a top picks list, but it is what it is. And I'm actually not done because I have a list of honorable mentions. This is my sneaky way of including more charts in my top picks. So let's get into those. So first on my honorable mentions list is Air Meets Sea from the Stitch and Kitten. So this one also really caught my attention. It's so precious. They look like two little, like, I don't know, sprites. I guess they're fairies. They have, well, one has wings. I'm gonna call them sprites. And it's almost giving yin and yang without being too yin and yang. It's so pretty. And yeah, I really like it. My second honorable mention is another design from the Artsy Housewife, and that is a small bouquet. So I really like this one. I think it only uses 3 different colors, which is also kind of nice. When you're like kitting it up, you don't have to track down a bunch of colors. I think this would be really pretty as like a needle book or like on a bag or something. That's kind of how I see this one finished. Yeah, really nice. And because it's so simple, like there's only the 3 colors, I feel like this would also be really easy to make your own color conversion if you didn't want to do it with kind of the yellows and the golds. Next up, I have a couple more from Hello from Liz Matthews. So the first is House on Pumpkin Hill. Really like this design. I don't think that I'm as likely to want to actually stitch this one, but I do really love it. And that border in particular with like all the different colored leaves and stuff around the edge is so pretty. So I had to give a shout out to this one because even though I don't see myself necessarily stitching it, I think a lot of people are gonna really love this one. And my other honorable mention from Hello from Liz Matthews is Santa's Night Tree. So this one didn't make my top picks just because I also had the Festive mini trees, and this one's kind of like a similar finish, but I do really like it. I love the tiny little reindeer in the sky, and like that little kind of like plaid section at the bottom of the tree is also really, really pretty. And I love the way she finished this. Like, I love all of her tree finishes in general. Like I know Cam the Stitcher is stitching the 12 Days of Christmas along with Bridget the Museum Stitcher, and Cam is stitching them as the trees. Bridget is doing the sampler version. But the little tree finishes are like so cute and kind of, again, unique. So I really, really love this one. And in particular, that little lacy trim that she added along the bottom is just, oh, it's so pretty. So the more I think about it, the more I feel like I should have included this in the top picks list instead of the honorable mentions, but it's all the same video, so. My next honorable mention is Reindeer Cheer from Counting Puddles. I really love the colors in the different trees and the dimension of how like it looks like some of the trees are closer to you and some are further back. It's very Counting Puddles. Like, I feel like you can just tell that it's a Counting Puddles design the second you look at it. And yeah, I really love this one as well. And I might change my mind about this one being, should have been a top pick instead of an honorable mention, but here we are. Next up is Christmas Swan from Lucy Beam. So this one I really like. It's small, it's kind of primitive to me, but still kind of cutesy because there's like the crown on the swan. And I do really like it, but it's one of those ones where as much as I like it, I don't necessarily see myself stitching it. So wanted to mention it and share it in case you hadn't seen it before, but I'm not sure that I personally would stitch this one. My next honorable mention is Joyful Christmas Calendar from Snowflower Diaries. So Snowflower Diaries is another new designer for me. Yeah, this one is the calendar up until Christmas. So it stays 1 through 25. So each day has its own little Christmas motif. So I feel like this one is a very like predictable favorite for me because I love Christmas stitching so much. And one day I think it would be really nice for me to have something like this to have up in my house, especially like when we have kids and stuff. It's kind of fun to have the Christmassy calendar. So this one I'm definitely kind of like keep in mind and perhaps keep for later, but I also feel like there are other Christmas calendar pieces out there, so I kind of want to, like, I don't need more than one Christmas calendar like this in my house that's stitched, you know? So I feel like I kind of want to see what else is out there before I necessarily commit to stitching one. So I do really love it. Finally, my last honorable mention slash almost a top pick is Meoween from Quaint Rose Needle Arts. So I really like cats. I like kind of cutesy Halloween stuff. So it's pretty self-explanatory why I like this one. I love also the fabric that these are stitched on. A gorgeous like medium purple fabric is so pretty. So this one definitely deserved a shout out on my honorable mentions list. So that is it. That brings us to the end of this video with all of my top picks and my honorable mentions, which I'm gonna have to do a count of all the ones that I mentioned, but I know I talked about a lot of different projects. So again, let me know in the comments if you agree with my top picks, or if there are others that I didn't mention that you think I should check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.